Welcome to Before You Move, the podcast that answers all the questions you have before you move to that city. Today we're talking to Melissa Bennett, a realtor in Sarnia, Lambton, who answers all the questions that you have before you move to Sarnia. Let's get into it. All right. Thank you, Melissa, for coming on today. I'm so excited to talk with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited for this.
So are you with Royal LePage as well?
Yes, so I'm with Royal
Okay.
Key Realty located in Sarnia.
Okay, perfect. So you mentioned Sarnia, Lambton area, right?
Exactly, yeah. So our board does anywhere from Sarnia to Watford out to Wallaceburg. We kind of encompass all of Sarnia Lambton as a whole.
Okay, cool. And how long have you been in real estate for?
I have been in real estate for 5 years. So
Oh
this
my
month
gosh.
actually is my 5th year in real estate, which is super exciting. It completely flies by, but I've been really liking it.
And have you been in Sarnia the whole time?
I have, yeah. So I
Okay.
started in Sarnia. I went to the University of Guelph and actually had a little bit of real estate experience there. I worked at a Royal LePage as an administrator when I was in school, and
Mhm.
then immediately knew that's kind of the direction I wanted to go once I graduated.
Oh my gosh, were you at Royal City, Royal LePage?
Yes, yeah. So
Oh
originally
my
that was
gosh.
my roots. Yeah, that's where I
Oh my
started as an
gosh, that's where
administrator.
gonna be setting my
Oh,
business
that's
up at.
awesome.
That's
Amazing.
so
Yeah, they're
funny. What
great
a small
there.
little world.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyways, we'll just like get right into the questions. I feel like I don't know a lot about Sarnia. It's kind of like off tucked in the corner.
Right.
Um, So, I mean, right off the bat, like, what do you think, like, as someone who's a new, like, one looking to buy a house within Sarnia, what are the first couple of things, like, you would kinda tell them? Like, "Hey, this is kind of what Sarnia is like."
100%. So if they're looking from outside of Sarnia, they've never really been to Sarnia Lambton, or they've been a couple of times and aren't sure of the neighborhoods and things like that, Sarnia actually does have a lot to offer. And I think people really started to notice that during COVID. A lot of the work from home times, people started kind of migrating our way just
Mhm,
because the cost of living is so affordable and the views are absolutely incredible. Are so blessed to have so much waterfront. We have Lake Huron. It goes all the way into St. Clair River, and our entire town is encompassed by it, which is really, really nice. So you
mhm,
can go out from like Kamlaki into Sarnia, down through Corunna into St. Clair Township. So that's actually where I live. And it's just like so amazing to have so much waterfront. There's lots of people that have boats and there's boat rentals. And so boating is a big community here. And I think what's great is everyone thought you had to go, to Muskoka or things like
mhm,
that, get that experience when you can actually do that right in our backyards here. So I think that's kind of our number one hub and things that we have to offer for sure. So I think if you're looking from the outside looking in, it's normally like how far do you want to be from the beach? Like what's your walking distance that you want to have to go to some of the amazing beaches that we have? And maybe it's not necessarily a beach, but if you want to go to the walking trails that we have along the water, a lot of our conversation does base around that kind of communication.
mhm. I was gonna say, like, are waterfront properties in that area a good investment, do you think?
I honestly do think that anytime you're buying a waterfront investment, it's a fantastic investment. They're normally
Uh-huh,
higher ticket prices. However, you cannot make more waterfront. There's only so much waterfront that's going to go around. So I
uh-huh.
do think you're just going to honestly see those continue to increase. And even in my 5 years, I have seen the prices like increase by a lot. So
Really?
yeah, I think it's really cool to watch that, but also
Yeah.
even growing up in Sarnia, I saw the prices of waterfront and what they are now. It's just almost mind-blowing, and people are, saying, "Oh, I wish I bought that back then when it was worth this." So,
Yeah.
definitely something that attracts people is our waterfront for sure.
Do you find it to be, like, more cottagey when people are going for the waterfront, or is it places that people are like, "No, we wanna live here, right on the water?"
There's a mix of both, and people will take, there's some beautiful homes and people use those as their cottages, if you will.
Mhm,
Some areas in Brights Grove more so that have, that's what it used to be, was a cottage community. So there are some of those that aren't necessarily on the water, but they're walking distance to the waterfront.
mhm.
But you'll see, like, there's tons of people that use their houses and they don't live there full time. They use them as cottages and things like that. But there is a lot of people that, that you have that as their matrimonial home.
Right. Do you find it better to rent or buy in Sarnia?
I honestly, anywhere I think you're better off buying, but
Yeah.
definitely in Sarnia, the housing prices are definitely very affordable. So I think that the rent prices that you would pay here are not worth it when
Mhm.
you could get into the market in the, in the 200,000 range. So I definitely
Totally.
think that I would say, get your feet wet, get that down payment saved up, and then try to get into the market instead of just paying someone else's mortgage, because you're going to be paying high rent prices versus a low purchase price. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I mean, obviously there's predicaments where it's better to rent, or if a lot of people come here for Chemical Valley, we have a big
Mhm.
industry for that. So if you're coming here and you want to, try the ropes out, rent for a year, like by all means, there's definitely situations where it definitely makes sense. But I always say try to get in, especially in our market where there are so many opportunities for first time home buyers.
Mhm. What's Chemical Valley?
So we have a bunch of different plants. So we have, Nova Chemicals, Suncor, Imperial Oil. So we have lots of gas plants, plants that make plastic. So um, oil plants. Essentially, this is
Mhm.
kind of like our main hub of why people live here and
Okay.
the jobs that come from it. So lots of engineers, lots of process operators, anyone in the trades. We have tons of people for that. So I actually came from a family, both my family members, both my parents, they worked in the plants. My fiance works in the plants. So it's definitely kind of our bread and butter down here.
Oh my gosh. So do you think that affects the customers and clients that come to Sarnia? Like, do you think
Oh,
that, like, do people decide, okay, well, I don't want to live closer to that area, or we do want to live closer to that area? I didn't
yes.
know that they
Yeah,
have
for
this whole
sure.
thing
So we have
here.
stigmas around living close to it for pollution wise.
Right.
Flares in the sky, and some people just don't like that. I
Yeah.
mean, I know tons of people that live down there and it doesn't harm them at all. They don't mind it, and
Mhm.
they have a shorter commute to work. But there are some people that prefer to live, closer into Sarnia. This is more out into St. Clair Township. I mean, there are some plants in
Mhm.
Sarnia as well, but there is a stigma about it, and it just kind of depends on your personal preference. But it does
Mhm.
a lot of people into our economy and is really what keeps us going.
Right, totally. Do you no, that's not what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, what is the average house price in Sarnia? And do you find that it varies depending on where you are in Sarnia?
100%. Yeah. So we have different places of Sarnia. So if you're in Sarnia itself, there's Sarnia. You can go right outside to Point Edward, into Corunna, into Petrolia, into Brights Grove, to Kamalaki. So all of these places do have, you'll see different price zones that kind of match their place specifically. If you're
Mhm.
in Sarnia, there's North End Sarnia, you can have Central Sarnia, and then we have our downtown core. So
Okay.
right now, the last 2 months has been the lowest average sale price in Sarnia that I have seen since I started. So we were under 400,000 for January and so far in February, which is crazy, but
For
it's
a
not.
detached house?
That's just like our average sale price. So it's
Oh
not the
my
average
gosh.
prices. Yeah. It's not the average prices in Sarnia, but that is
Mhm.
just basically what we're seeing selling right now, is between that 300 to $500,000 mark,
Mhm.
which is fair. That's kind of just like the bread and butter right now. We're not seeing hardly any movement above 800,000. So that's definitely affecting our average price right now. So, like the houses that are on the lake or in the north end of Sarnia, those well over 800,000, but
Mhm.
have not seen much activity in that range with all the unknowns going on and everything. We are a border city, so I do find that there is a little bit of an effect that comes from the United States economy, just from a persona of people are just not sure what's going on. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into any of that, but I just think that that has affected that price range a little bit. Whereas the 300 to 500, that's your first time home buyers. That's people trying to get into the market. That's always going to be busy, but we're just
Mhm.
that is really the only price range that has been busy lately. But I would
Yeah.
normally, if you did range it out from our lower end to our higher end, we'll always end around like a 500,000 average price.
Right. Do you find that how's the commute to Sarnia? Because that's such a great price for first-time home buyers. So it's like if you're willing to make the extra drive, like how's the commute? I don't know if people do commute from there to Toronto or if they come closer this way, but
Right. I don't think there's too many people that commute here from to Toronto,
it's
but we do
far.
see a lot to London. So
Okay.
we'll see. I actually have a couple of friends, and they work in London. They live in Sarnia. That their
Mhm.
husbands work in the plant, so they went to somewhere like Petrolia. So it's kind of a halfway in between for both of them. So we see a lot of people that do that because the prices in Sarnia or Sarnia Lambton compared to those in London, they vary significantly. So they are able to get an entry level price in Sarnia, and then they both have a smaller commute, but
Mhm.
that's really the only kind of commuting we see. We do see a lot of people that live in Sarnia, or Brights Grove, Kamalaki out that way that do work in the plants. So they're trying to get a little bit further away from the plants, further away from where they work because a lot of the times they're working 12-hour shifts. So they're driving,
Right.
working for 12 hours and then driving home. And, that commute could get up to maybe 45 minutes tops. And that's if you're like furthest end to furthest end kind of thing.
Right. What is the social life like in Sarnia,
It's funny,
Lambton?
yes. It's not lively, I will say, like, it's not a bar scene, it's tough to meet people if you're not from here, I will 100% say that, but I think once you get here, the community is so strong, and I think that the people in this town is what makes it so fantastic. There's tons of events that you can do, I just wouldn't say, like, the social life is booming for, like, if you went downtown on our in Sarnia, it would be, like, shut down by 11:30 PM. Like, it's not
Right.
a lively environment, but, if you come to Sarnia in the summer and go to the beaches, like, they're packed. Like, there's
Oh,
tons of
yeah.
people you can meet that way. We have so many amazing coffee shops that have popped up. We have some really cute restaurants that do turn into, like, a little bit of a bar scene maybe
Mhm.
afterward, like, open mic nights. It is, like, a really fun community, but a lot of times there's a lot of house parties, and people are kinda
Yeah.
getting together that way, which I personally like a lot
Like
better.
more. Yeah.
And
I'm
then
the same way.
yeah, there are bars and stuff like that here for the students that are at Lambton College and the people that do like to go out and do that. There is
Mhm.
definitely room for you to do that. I just don't think it's necessarily a place that people come to specifically to make that happen, if that makes
It's
sense.
yeah, yeah, totally. What are the safest slash best neighborhoods in Sarnia, Lambton?
Yeah, so I think, in terms of that, it's basically what you want out of your neighborhood. I don't think we have necessarily one neighborhood that's best or one neighborhood that's safer than the rest. I think it's mostly, if you wanted to live in Sarnia, you have your north end, central, and your south end. So if you're in the north
Mhm.
end, you're seeing a lot of family homes. There isn't much shopping. There's not a whole lot of stores. You'll see like a couple like Tim Hortons, Starbucks, a little grocery store here and there. But if you get to Central Sarnia, you're walking distance to like almost everything. All of our grocery
Mhm.
stores, y- banks, things like that, like our mall, you're going to be closer to and walking distance. And if you're downtown core, you're going to be walking distance to the waterfront and trails that way. So they all offer north end, you're closer to the beach. A lot of people do like to be closer to the beach. But if you
Mhm.
break it down into the other communities that we have, every little community has something to offer. I think Petrolia is stunning. It is like a Hallmark movie in real life. It's such a cute place. They have a main drag with all your little stores, bakery shops, things like that. And then Corunna, you're closer to the river, so it's such a river community, which is super great. They're very tight knit, and it's such a fun little community there. You can go boating, things like that. And then out to Brights Grove, you're getting, that was the kind of the cottage era. So it's a lot of beach goers, people all drive out, they watch the sunset together. It's a super cute neighborhood there too. So there's always something for everyone depending on where you want to be.
Yeah, totally. I was gonna just say, kind of following that, like, what are some popular things to do in Sarnia? But I assume probably like beaches, stuff like that. In the
Yeah.
winter, what is it like though?
That's a great question. We all pray for the summer just to come back. No, but there's tons of things to do in the winter too. Right now because it has been so cold, we've seen a lot of the ice fishing come back, which is cool
Mhm.
to see. We have lots of trails, so you can do lots of walking trails. You can do snowshoeing on these trails, things like that. A lot of people will take out like snowmobiles, go and do trails and that kind of stuff. Pond hockey and skating. We have a really cool big park that was donated in Sarnia, and
Mhm.
my whole childhood was growing up playing pond hockey on that pond, so it's definitely something that I hold close to my heart and people still do today. So there's definitely tons of activities to do. Hockey is super big in this area as well, so there's tons of hockey teams and from all ages. So
Mhm.
there's definitely things to do in the winter too, and I don't think that there's ever a bad time to look at the water, whether it's winter or summer. So
Right? Can you go skating on the water too?
you can, not on, like, the lake, but there's
Mhm.
little ponds, so even
Okay.
where, like, Canna is the park that I was kinda talking about, they have a beachfront with the lake, and then right behind the beach area and parking lot is a pond, and people will play
Okay, cute.
in that pond, and there's a bunch of different parks and things like that that people will skate on and stuff, and it's super cute to see all the little kids and people on their first dates, and it's definitely a very Hallmark kind of town is what I've would pin it down to for being in
Yeah,
Sar
I feel like I'm getting like Sarnia as like a very tight knit, like a cottage, but, like, your home kind of vibe.
Yeah, yeah, and we have, like, all ranges of different homes to have, like, whether you wanted, like, the actual cottage vibe, you can totally find that here, and
Mhm.
then just, like, everything just feels so homey because it is a tight-knit community. Like, when I just moved a couple of years ago to the house I live in now, and the mail lady that we have, like, came up, introduced herself to us, like, came
Oh,
to the
that's so
door.
cute.
Yeah, she, like, rang her doorbell, was introducing herself, and was like, "If you ever need anything, like, if you want stamps, you can leave a little baggie with change, and I'll help you out." Like, it was just, like,
Aw.
cutest thing, and then there's, an LCBO around the corner from us, and we had gone in, and they're like, "Oh, we don't recognize you. Are you new here?" And we were like, "Yeah," and they're like, "If there's anything you don't see on the shelves, let us know, like, we'll try to bring it in for you." So, it's definitely, like, the furthest you go away from Sarnia to the smaller kind of little towns you're getting, so
Yeah.
just, it's really cool to see that, and I also used to work at Boston Pizza when I was in high school,
Mhm.
and they had so many different fundraisers for people locally, and the amount of people that would show up and help and donate is just amazing. So I can say enough good things about our community here.
Do you find that there are a lot of retired people there as well?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of retirees. I think it's nice too with snowbirds that we are so close to the border.
Mhm.
See a lot of people going, to Florida for the winters and things like that. So that brought in a lot of retirees. We also have a lot of people that have lived here for the plants, stayed, and then
Mhm.
retired. And we do have quite a few retirement communities in the town as well. And I know a lot of people love those. They have like activities and pools and things like that that they have things to do. So there's
Yeah.
definitely groups for retirements.
Is there any kind of, like, do a lot of people rent in Sarnia, or, like, is that not really a thing? Because you mentioned that there's Lambton College?
Yes. Yeah. So we have student rentals for Lambton College. We also have a lot of people that rent that work in the plant. So a lot of contractors that come, whether
Mhm.
short term, like they'll stay for 3 months or something like that. So we have a lot of those kind of rentals as well. Tons of family rentals, people just trying to get into different neighborhoods as well. So they might pay a little bit of higher price to be in the north end closer to the beaches and things like that. But they just want to get their family over there. So they'll be renting. I also, if there's anything going on with the plants, like we just had a new plant built and that took a
Mhm.
couple of years. So we had our rental market went crazy with a lot of those contractors looking to rent as well. So
What is the typical price for a rental?
it depends. Like I have myself, I have a 2-bedroom condo that rents out for $2,000 a month.
Okay.
So it's pretty stable market. I think if you went anywhere to the north end, you can get up to 3,000. If it's on the water, you're looking normally above four.
Okay.
And then anywhere from, we have apartment rentals and basement rentals and duplexes and things like that, and you can kinda get them around, the 850 to 1,100 range, so
Mhm.
there's a good range in rent here, and I think that it's very stable. There's a lot of rentals available.
And there's something for everybody.
100%, yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. And would you say are the pros and cons of living in Sarnia?
I think the pros are definitely the people and, like I've been saying, the waterfront, but I do think
Mhm.
it is one of the most amazing things when I left here for university, that's what I miss most was just the access to the waterfront, being able to walk by it, drive by it, sit by it. There's just so many different places you can go for it. We have a ton of waterfront restaurants as well, which is nice, and I do think that just the people here are what really make it so phenomenal. Like, you can't go anywhere without knowing half the faces, so I think that
Right.
always resonated with me, and when I went to university, that's something I looked for as well. I chose a smaller university because I still wanted that small home feeling that I have always gotten when I'm home, and I think, honestly, the cons would just be if you're looking for something else, like, if you're looking for that Toronto lifestyle, that busy lifestyle, or, you wanna go out all the time, or you want to, be going to bars and things like that, we just don't have that for you, so I do
Mhm.
see a lot of people, they're from Sarnia, they leave, they go to Toronto, they do a couple of years in Toronto, and they always I don't wanna say always, but a lot of times they do end up coming back. So,
Yeah.
there is a gap, I think, for a certain age demographic that we are lacking, but otherwise, I think that there's so much amazing things to offer in Sarnia, and that's why I returned right after I graduated as well, so
Totally. I know we kinda touched on this, but in your opinion, who is the target market for Sarnia Lambton?
I think honestly, like the plant workers are definitely our bread and butter. That's who we employ the most. And we have like such a niche for that as well because we do have so many plants here. And then
Mhm.
you'll see like tons of, teachers, nurses, your typical people that you would see and other demographics as well. But I would say the petrochemical industry is huge. We have, tons of families. There isn't really one kind of specific niche that we are seeing in this area other than the petrochemical industry, which other cities may not have.
Right, totally. I feel like I mean, I don't know any cities that have that. Like, I think that's pretty niche, and that probably brings in a lot of people. That's
Yeah,
really
like
cool,
a lot of the
honestly.
transfer will come from like Texas or Calgary or things.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so then that's kind of when, like, rentals will probably pop off because they're like, "We're not gonna stay here long term, but we're gonna be here for the time being."
Yeah, exactly. So you'll see a lot of those and you'll see, one person's taking that contracting job and then they're going to have this unit rented and then the next person's going to go and rent that unit once they're done and their contract starts. So you see that a lot.
Yeah.
There's tons of just families and people trying to get out of their parents' house and things like that are renting as well.
Yeah, totally. I think the last question I have is, I mean, this is totally off topic, but what is the difference between living in rural versus urban Lambton County, would you
So,
say?
honestly, there isn't a whole lot of difference. Like, some people will say Sarnia is busy, which I know it's hard to believe if you're not from here, but you can go out to, like, Courtright, for example, and it's such a small hub of houses. There's no mall, there's no grocery store, there's a little restaurant and an ice cream shop and a little corner store, and some people just absolutely love that kind of lifestyle. They don't wanna have to wait behind all of these cars. It's a 12-minute drive to get to your closest grocery store. It's not terrible by any means.
Mhm.
But they just don't want the hustle and bustle that you might find closer to Sarnia, which still is nothing compared to some other cities. But I find that that's something that I like. Or people, we have a lot of acreage. So a lot of people will have farms or they'll, live on a 60-acre property with that's all treed and they have little cabins or something like that. So that's kind of the biggest difference is if you wanted space and privacy, you can definitely find that in Sarnia Lambton.
I feel like you can have, like, everything. You can have whatever little world you want, you can find in Sarnia Lambton area.
100%. And I think like I said, each town has something to offer. And I think that that's what is so amazing about our location is when I meet someone who's transferring here for work, I get to kind of play by play what happens in all of Sarnia Lambton. And everyone's like, I want to live everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm
pretty
gonna go
cool.
do this, then in 5 years, I'm gonna go move here, and it's gonna be,
Yeah.
like,
And
20
that's
minutes away.
100%, and that's what's fun is people come from out of town, and I show them all the little different areas. We drive around, we go to all the different parks, and they get to see what each place does offer and then really make their niche after seeing, houses that this specific town offers, and it's really cool to see their perspective on it because I've lived here my whole life, and I
Mhm.
understand things that I like and just how I grew up, and it's nice to see their perspective from an outsider on what they find so important to them, so it's pretty
Totally. Did
amazing.
you find that since Sarnia's kinda tucked away, that during COVID, you found, like, a lot of people coming to buy in Sarnia because people went online and stuff like that for work?
100%, 100%, and before COVID, like, our pricing of houses did not match the income that was coming into this town, so
Mhm.
people, you could go to a process operator job at Lambton College, graduate, be making $100,000, and then be able to purchase a house for 200,000. So it wouldn't really take you very long to be able to pay that off, so
Yeah.
I just think that, COVID did get a little bit crazy, but I do think it helped stabilize our market a little bit.
Mhm.
We had so many investors, tons of people coming from Toronto and buying in, people that could work from home. I met a guy and he rented his condo in Toronto and moved to the lake because he was like, "Why not? Like, I get this view and I get to work from home now." So, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool when you can have all these different options, and I think Sarnia really got put on the map during that time because people
Mhm.
realized what it did have to offer. But I don't think that we see that quite as much anymore, and I know a lot of people are leaning into more hybrid and coming back to the office and things like that, so it hasn't been as busy for that kind of market, but during COVID, yeah, definitely saw tons of investors and out of town people getting into our market for sure.
Yeah, it'd be exactly where you would wanna be when you would have to work from home, I feel.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. I think that's all my questions. I think I'm just gonna do my little bonus question, which I told you about, which was, what surprises you most about Sarnia and Lambton?
Honestly, it's like I said before, it is the people, and I don't even wanna say it surprises me anymore, but it does. Every single time something happens and you can see the people pool together, it is incredible what this community can do and come together for. We have
Mhm.
seen some terrible tragedies happen in our area, and every single time there's a lineup of people that are there to support you. And I just think that that is the most wonderful thing. And I think that's what's so important about being part of a small community is that you do get to have each other's backs. And I think it's such a beautiful thing that we get to see time and time again, especially in our job when we're dealing with a lot of these tragic situations and
Yeah.
people in their housing and things like that. And then you get to see the other side of it too, which is really amazing. So I just think that Sarnia is such a little hidden gem for that, but
Yeah.
what makes it so special.
And I feel like even since COVID, like, people need that more than ever to,
Uh,
like, have that community feel and be able to, like, socialize and talk to people.
Yeah, and even during COVID, like, people would do, all the drive-bys, like, little parades
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
stuff down the streets, and we have communities and streets that, they'll do little lantern bags and have, like, a little light up the walk, and it's just really cool what the communities here do, so definitely
Yeah, I love that.
def
Especially for the people that are coming in and out too, like, they're coming
Mhm.
in, they're meeting all these new people that they've just created a community with, and then they're able to, like, feel welcome, do you know what I mean? Because it
Yeah,
can be
100%.
scary to go into a new town, city that you don't know, and you're like,
Mhm.
"How do I meet people
Yeah.
now?"
Yeah, exactly. So and there's tons of, like, extracurricular activities that we have, and we have a great pickleball community and golfing community, and if you are into athletics and things like that, there's a spot for everyone, which is really cool.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, I love that. I wanna move to Sarnia now. I
Yeah,
understand why
great.
you went back. That
Yeah,
makes total sense.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
thank you so much. I feel like that's all I have for you.
Well, thank you. It was really nice to get to know you, and I'm super excited for your future. I think it's gonna be very bright.
Thank you, I'm so excited. I wish you the best of luck. Is the market picking up for you a bit?
Yeah, things have been busy. This has been a really busy January. We had
I know,
actually
you've been so busy. I'm like, "I love this for
I
you."
know. We've actually had the most sales this past January or second most in the last 5 years, so it has been a busy time. So hopefully we're gonna see, things continue this way and the economy settle out a little bit.
Right? Totally. Well, thanks so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it, Melissa.
Alright. Awesome, thank you.
Alright, have a great day.
Hey, you too. Bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you for listening to Before You Move. If you or someone you know is looking to move, contact me down below and we can get in touch and get you where you wanna be.